Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to Starbucks with Donardo and Jim. I'm your host, Anthony Donardo. With me, of course, we have Jim Rosati. Jim, happy Monday.
Happy Super Bowl Monday.
Super Bowl Monday. Happy Eagles
Super Bowl
win.
Monday.
Or if you want to phrase it, happy Chiefs loss.
Yeah, it was just a boring football game. The Chiefs did nothing.
I mean, they did nothing. I look at it this way. I mean, I definitely understand it's a boring game, but I look at it as like, holy shit, it was kind of exciting because
See,
how terrible the Chiefs looked. I think a lot of people got excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it was exciting. It was a blowout. Blowouts are sometimes fun to see whenever you want to see them, but I don't know. In a game where I really have no rooting interest, I don't want to blow out.
Yeah. I guess I was more like shocked, like I said. Like I didn't really have much of a rooting interest either. I was probably hedging towards the Eagles just to not see the Chiefs win. And like I said, like, it's just like shocking how terrible the Chiefs looked. When the Eagles were stopping them defensively, offensively. I mean, they looked good.
Shout out Gregory. Gregory setting an alarm so you can listen to us live.
How about that?
Some good stuff there.
I made one of us today.
Yeah, you didn't set an alarm, apparently.
I mean, I did. I was running late though. So I do apologize. This time it was me. It's I've been on a pretty solid streak. It's been Tyler who's been running us late. It's been Ryan. You potentially making us go another day. This one was on me.
I've got a question for you. In terms of productivity, is today like one of the least productive days that the country has, like from like a work standpoint? Day after Super Bowl, it's got to be up there with it's got to be like today. I gotta imagine like that Thursday, Friday NCAA tournament. That's like way up there, you know. And I mean, I don't know where opening day would rank on that, but I mean, there's a lot of baseball fans out there, and opening day tends to be day baseball games a lot of times. So that might be up there too. But this day's got to rank up there in terms of like least productive work days.
Let me put it this way: this isn't like really like sending out the juice. Our work offered work from home today just to entice people to not call out.
There you go.
So
so
that says something. Yeah, because I mean we're allowed to work from home certain days, right, through the week. They're like, we're gonna add another one. Like you're also allowed to work from home on the Monday after the Super Bowl, just so maybe we don't have that many people calling out and not showing up today.
That's a good strategy.
So they're part of your answer. Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm sure, Gregory, you certainly set your alarm so you can hear us talk about that.
Joey says he's working from home and that listening to us will be the most productive he'll be all day.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, there you go.
Joey Pepperoni. For sure. Well, I'll tell you what. Before we do go any further, even though this is probably dated as of right now, the biggest betting weekend of the year is finally here, which means more updated odds and props for Super Bowl Sunday. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. We have hundreds of prop bets, MVP odds, and exclusive in-game live betting. BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline offers you everything and more to enhance your game day experience. Visit the website today and make the game day action count a little bit more. BetOnline, the game starts here. So yeah, I guess I'll ask this. I'm not much of the betting person. I mean, I'll bet here and there, right? But like, certainly not betting on props. Anything stood out that you're interested in on Super Bowl Sunday? The Gatorade is green.
No, I mean, I had like Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown, so that hit early on. I always like Patrick Mahomes rushing props, like in big games. He just tends to run a little bit more, but he missed his rushing attempts prop by 2 attempts. I think that was just because they got down so much. So that was my main bet that I did not win yesterday.
There it is. I'll say this, and this doesn't really go much with prop betting. Maybe it does because I think Taylor was probably involved in this. I noticed they didn't really show like a lot of people that were at the game. Like usually the Super Bowl, you get the cutaways, like here's this celebrity, here's that celebrity. I felt like they didn't show it much at all. But with that being said, like Taylor was shown once, I think.
Yeah, I think they pretty much just showed, they showed a few people, but not a ton.
Yeah.
You're right.
So if you nailed that prop, congrats. But overall, I mean, yeah, the Super Bowl happened. Like I said, I mean, I was entertained with it. And like I said, more or less because the Chiefs they looked pathetic compared to the Eagles. Quite shocking. So end of a dynasty. Are we done? Chiefs, we're done with that.
As long as they've got Mahomes, I don't know if we're done with that, but
yeah,
we'll see.
Cool. All right.
There's our football talk for the day.
Do we want to talk about baseball now? Because it is.
How about we talk about baseball? Because now that the Super Bowl's over, football's over, it's now time for baseball.
That's right. That's right. And if you want any argument, Anthony Davis is injured, so there's no NBA. How about that? That's kind of ironic. I enjoyed hearing that news last night just for the giggles. Yeah, Anthony Davis giving his best Aaron Rodgers impression.
Yeah, I saw that last night too.
And now he's out for multiple weeks.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, it's baseball season. Pitchers and catchers report this week, Jim.
On Wednesday.
I'm excited.
Yep.
I've been saying like I need baseball to begin for multiple reasons. One of it is just like I'm ready to get past this off season. I'm tired of just talking about really nothing. With baseball happening, there's stuff that we can like truly talk about. And that's what's happening this week. So again, on Wednesday, February 12th, the Pirates pitchers and catchers do report. So we are just days away.
Yeah, I mean, 2 days. 2 days from now, we'll start getting those grainy iPhone videos from the beat writers. I guess phone technology has gotten a little bit better over time, so the videos aren't as bad as they used to be. I just remember when, like, back in the day, you'd have like Rob Beer Temple taking flip phone pictures and uploading them to Twitter, and it was like it was like right after colored photography like got invented is what it looked like. But no, now we've got HD 4K videos on iPhone, so we should be pretty good. Should be set up. And yeah, I mean, I guess if there's one part of this team to really actually be excited about and looking forward to, it is the pitching staff. So we'll get to see Paul Skenes, Mitch Keller, Jared Jones, Johan Oviedo back in the fold. All those guys, David Bednar, new relievers, Caleb Ferguson. Like we'll get to see those guys throw baseballs this week, which is always pretty fun. The starting rotation, I was trying to think of like some stuff to talk about this morning, and the rotation, barring any injuries, like I'm pretty sure it's set. Like now, injuries, spring training happen all the time, so like we could always have anything go awry. But it's kind of interesting to really go into a spring and like your starting rotation's pretty much, it's at least written in ink, maybe like erasable ink, but like it's gonna be tough to move anybody out of that 5.
No, that's a very good point. There's not like there's too many battles per se. And I think even with that being said, if someone's injured, I don't think there's like a whole lot of questions like who's next, if that makes sense too. Like again, like last year we're talking about, like last year, like who is Rowan's a starter? Is he a reliever? Is Luis Ortiz a starter? Is a reliever? Like, are they going to call up Jared Jones right away with that talent? I mean, there were so many question marks about the starting rotation. And this year, like you mentioned, like, well, we know it's Paul Skenes, it's Mitch Keller, it's Jared Jones, and Billy Falter should be there, right? And I mean, just like I said, like you just kind of go down the list, and it's like if an injury happens, it's like, well, I mean, you have Oviedo coming back. Does he just slide in there? I mean, there's so many options this year that, yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, like it's it's such a solid rotation right now, with so many more options out there. And that's what we talk about Bubba. It's like, I mean, Bubba could start opening day. I'm gonna say he can. It's possible, but there's no real need for it. And like I said, like last year with Jared Jones started because of need. Like you don't really have that this year. I mean, they're in a really good place pitching wise. A very, very good place.
Yeah. John asks if there's any word from the front office about a 6-man rotation. I would say this, like I wouldn't expect a 6-man rotation, at least not off the bat, but I would expect, like, at some point this year, you're going to have multiple guys who are throwing like multiple innings. I don't know if they'll necessarily be considered starters or not, but like I feel like there's a lot of guys who they're going to want to get like 100 innings out of this year, and maybe not so many guys they want to push to like that 150 mark. Like Oviedo, for example. Like I don't know what kind of innings restrictions he'll be on. I don't think he should be on any personally, unless he starts showing signs of wear and tear. But I could see this front office just spreading innings around quite a bit. But I don't know if they'll necessarily go with a 6-man rotation. It's possible though. Like it's possible. You saw them last year. Like they really tried to not have certain guys pitch on 4 days rest.
Right.
And I guess you could say it led to some people maybe staying healthier, but I don't really know the science or the math or the strategy behind that. Like, I don't know, pitchers have been pitching on 4 days rest for a really long time. And I guess we're moving away from that. Just kind of seems to be the trend. Just less and less starts by your starters. Just kind of is what baseball's heading towards.
Yeah. Like you make a good point there. I don't know if we really anticipate seeing like a 6-man rotation, but I do feel like they'll probably get creative. Like you mentioned, like last year. We talk about Oviedo. There's Michael Burrows. There's Ashcraft. Like there's a lot of people that could like fit into like this Luis Ortiz role, and I feel like you're probably going to see a couple of them like fill that role this year. So maybe not like a deemed 6-man rotation, but it's like, all right, you know what, we're gonna push some guys starting today. Let's get a spot start by whoever, and to do so to accomplish that. So I see it again. Like to me personally, like Mitch Keller shouldn't be there. Paul Skenes shouldn't be that. You could make the argument that you want to preserve Jared Jones. You could certainly make the argument out of Oviedo. You could make the argument, even Bailey Falter to some level, but again, like he probably shouldn't. But like, yeah, the Pirates shown that effort to want to do that last year. I mean, there's 2 guys that should just be like an absolute, don't even entertain this, and that's Mitch Keller and Paul Skenes. And part of that too is like, I mean, Mitch Keller's a dog. He's been here, and there's been talk that like last year that threw him off. I don't know if how much truth is to that, but I mean, you could make that argument. But like he's shown he can put up innings, like he doesn't need to be preserved. And again, you don't want to take away the baseball from Paul Skenes any more than you have to. So, making him rest on 4 days opposed to 5 means he gets the baseball more this year. And that leads to wins usually. So I would prefer not seeing Paul Skenes in a 6-man rotation. But if there was something that they wanted to do to get creative to preserve other people's, right, that's what you'll probably find is, getting like the Oviedo and the spot start, maybe Ashcraft, Burrows and such. So I definitely see them being more creative. Like you said, probably more guys close to the 100 innings range. But I don't think I really anticipate like a 6-man rotation at any point.
Yeah.
Bubba,
I could see like I could see like an opener situation on days where they want to give people an extra day, but that's kind of how I would view it right now.
But like with that said, like there's guys that are true like starters who could be an opener that you kind of trust because of that depth. It's not where it's like I'm already losing names who started like 4 times last year that had no business being in the starting rotation.
Jake Woodford.
Who? Yes,
Jake
yes.
Woodford.
Say he had a really good start in Houston, so I would give him that. But right,
he had a really good start. San Diego, he had that really, really good start.
Maybe San Diego then.
But Yeah, I mean, for someone who had to make 4 or 5 starts, you could do worse, I guess. Than
No, I'm saying. But the thing is, like,
yeah,
you have an Oviedo now. You have potentially like an Ashcraft, a Burrows. Like, you have options that sound a lot better than him.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier. I do want to talk about this because I think if something were to happen to one of these 5 starters during spring training, then there is a conversation to be had as far as what you do. Like, I don't know if there's a clear-cut number 6 right now. So, like, if you're talking about, like, if something were to happen, like, who would take that final spot? I don't know who that would be right now. I mean, you got Burrows, Ashcraft, Harrington, Chandler, Carson Fulmer probably would technically be in that mix too. Or you just go the opener route with that 5th spot potentially. I know they also talked about Caleb Ferguson maybe getting a chance to start. So I actually hope it doesn't happen, because if it happens, then that means someone got injured. So we don't want that to happen. But I am curious to see like who the next guy up is. So like I think that's a real battle to be had this spring, is like who's the number 6.
Yeah.
I don't think it's Bubba right now. Like I think they
No.
want Bubba to start in AAA. Like I think if Bubba goes out and does what Jared Jones did last year in spring training, I don't think Bubba makes the opening day roster.
Right.
Like regardless, like, and I mean, we all know what Jared Jones did last spring. He like didn't give up I mean, he had a 0 ERA over like 16, 17 innings, something like that. He looked nasty. Like if Bubba goes out and does that, I don't think he's got a I don't think he's going to make the opening day roster. But I am curious on who that number 6 guy is.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of just feel like it's Oviedo by default. I mean,
Oviedo's in the rotation.
Well, true. Okay. So, down the list, I almost feel like it's Burrows after that. In my mind, I'm not saying like it can't be or it's gonna be, but like in my mind, I almost feel like that's what Burrows presents. Like, you're not, could be wrong, right? But we talk about like he's not the type of prospect that you're really worried about service time with. It's not like, oh well, we gotta keep Burrows down there as well so we can get Super 2 out of him and all this. Like that's what Burrows presents. Like, he's a quality guy. I think it, in my mind, that's how I would go that picking order, because I'd rather preserve Ashcraft and Harrington, the rest like you're talking about. And honestly, personally, I know you said it, but like I don't want to see Caleb Ferguson as a starter. Like, just get Ferguson where he's been good at, he's been successful, and like just do that thing. Just worry about getting him back on track as a reliever and strengthen that bullpen that needed strengthened. So again, like that's kind of like where I sit. Like that's why you have a Burrows. And then once someone's healthy, you can put them back down in AAA.
Yeah, I don't think I would. I mean, I guess you're going to give him a shot and let him pitch a few innings, but I think you're going to nip that in the bud pretty early. The Caleb Ferguson starting pitcher experience. I think there's a battle there between Burrows, Ashcraft, and Fulmer, though, as far as like who that next guy would be.
Yeah, I know. And it, like, realistically, it probably ends up being Fulmer, but I would much rather see Burrows.
Yeah, I think all 3 of those guys have a decent chance. And like Fulmer, at least he's done it before. He's never really done it well as far as starting. He's mostly been used as a reliever for the majority of his career. His 24 starts and 114 appearances and a career 5.38 ERA. So like it hasn't been good for Carson Fulmer. But you did bring him in for a reason, and he was brought in for a, in case of emergency, break glass situation. So they could also sign another guy between now and then too. Like there's still some starting pitchers out there where, if you need to add a non-roster invitee, there's probably still a couple other guys out there.
Sure.
But yeah, 6th guy. I'm interested in who that is, because they're going to need a 6th guy eventually. So who's going to be?
Yeah. Yep. And again, this is also my speculation and thought process, but I feel like I would much rather preserve Ashcraft. And like he had his own injuries, and that risk such. And with Harrington, same. Like I would much rather them start in AAA. Burrows, I mean, he was the guy who was ready before. It's just he's coming off the Tommy John from the prior years and such. But he's 24 years old. That's how I look at like Michael Burrows. He's not one of your top prospects like a Harrington, Ashcraft. Let them guys go down there, get Burrows up here, let them pitch, and then you can send them back down when the injuries happen, or you want to make a change or whatever. But I'd much rather see him than Fulmer, if that makes sense. Which is why that you'll see Fulmer and not Burrows, because that's what I want.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think out of all of them, I think I'd probably rather see Ashcraft. I think he's got the best upside.
Yeah, he does, but
Burrows kind of seems safe, I guess. I don't know if he's ever going to wow you, but yeah, I said I think that's something to look for. If we're talking about things to watch this spring, like I said, you're gonna need a 6 starter and a 7 starter and an 8th starter eventually. So who are those guys gonna be? How do they look? Yeah, I think the bullpen though, like looking at that, as like I said, barring injuries, it's pretty well set too.
Mm-hmm.
Dowry Moretta. I am curious. I haven't really heard much as far as like when he's gonna be back. I doubt he's ready by opening day. I doubt it, but
for sure.
I haven't really heard anything on Dowry Moretta, like at all. So I'm curious on what we can expect from him this year.
Yeah, but also like knowing when he went down last year, I do not anticipate him being for opening day. But like you mentioned, like we haven't really heard much on him. So with camp breaking, I'm sure we'll start hearing, and then we'll see where he's at as far as throwing and such. But yeah, I mean, I would expect somewhere mid-season, that he's pitching again for them.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully that's a big boost, because we miss Big Bank. At least the aura of Big Bank. But I mean, he's been an effective pitcher. So he could definitely be an addition to his bullpen late in the year.
Dowry Moretta is a welcome addition to this bullpen whenever he's healthy, for sure. John says he doesn't anticipate a world where Fulmer makes the team over Burrows or Ashcraft because of the 40-man spot. Thing to remember here is, like, as people get injured, 60-day ILs are going to be available, which opens up spots. Like Dowry Moretta will probably start on the 60-day IL.
Right.
Since we haven't heard anything about him. So there's a 40-man spot right there. So there's going to be 40-man spots that open up just due to injuries that are going to potentially occur here in the next 2 months.
For sure.
There's also plenty of people who could lose a 40-man spot.
Also that part. Yeah. It's not as if this roster is just flooded with talent in that sense. I mean, there's like talent here, but
like last year you saw like Chase Anderson, put up like a decent spring. Ultimately he didn't make the team, but the Pirates, as soon as they cut him, he opted out and he signed a major league deal with the Red Sox. So, those non-roster invitees, some of them are, they're not only are they playing for a spot on the Pirates, but they're playing for spots on other teams too. A lot of times. A lot of those people have opt-outs. You can follow Ethan for all of that information. But yeah, a lot of those non-roster invitees that end up coming in, a lot of them can leave at some point, if they feel like they can get a better opportunity somewhere.
Yep. So with that said, again, pitchers and catchers reporting. We've talked about the rotation a little bit here, but a little bit about the bullpen. What do you want to see? Like, what are your? I mean, I feel like every year we have like some storylines. Like, what's something you want to see out of certain players? So, of course, we're talking about pitchers and catchers. I mean, Paul Skenes going. We want to see Paul Skenes, but like, he's the best pitcher in baseball. I think we know what we're getting. It's not like, well, I kind of want to see Paul Skenes. Like, I really don't want to see anything different. Like, just show up, do you? It's not like, hey, are you working on this? You work on that? No, you're just, you're amazing, and I love you, and welcome back, right? Do your thing. But I think for other players, right, other pitchers, maybe there's some things we're looking into. So yeah, like what are maybe something you're looking to see this spring from some of the guys?
The number one guy for me that I'm looking at is David Bednar.
Okay.
Like, he's the number one. I think a lot rides on him. I mean, you just think last season, this team won 76 games. How many games do they win if David Bednar is all-star David Bednar?
Right.
80? Like, is it a 4-win difference?
Maybe.
Like,
I mean, it's hard to really
yeah,
calculate and
it
say,
is
but
hard
it
to
could be.
calculate. But, like, the Pirates lost some games last year because of David Bednar.
Right.
And if David Bednar is back to his normal self, it's a big boost for this team. And he missed all of spring training essentially last year. And I think that contributed to a lot of his struggles throughout the year. Just he never really found his command. It was off the whole year. So yeah, David Bednar is like the guy who I want to see show up ready to roll, show up healthy. And when he does get game action, he looks good and he's mowing people down. Like that's the number one thing that I want to see this spring training, because I think a lot rides on him. Because if David Bednar has another season like last year, this team's not winning 85, 86, 87 games. They're not. They're just not going to.
Right.
The only way that they can hit that ceiling that they have is with a lockdown David Bednar at the back of that bullpen.
No, I mean, he definitely presents a big answer this year, to the question, like, with that bullpen, because the bullpen was a strength last year going into the season. It's like, hey, you know what? If anything, like this bullpen's going to shorten some games. You got Bednar coming back. We know how good he is. Colin Horderman was certainly, he had parts, right? There was a lot of reasons to like Horderman, but the fact that, like, hey, you know what? He's not the setup guy anymore. Like, they brought in Aroldis Chapman now too, who could also close games. I mean, they could get real creative in how they use this bullpen, So like Horderman, Chapman, Bednar was looking pretty enticing there, and we know how that all went, right? So like Bednar coming back, being healthy, being strong, being productive, adds to that late innings that once again was still. I mean, it was, relatively speaking, they're going through a rebuild. There's that's not going to be strong in the sense of like the rest of the NL, but like that's been their strength for some time now is the bullpen. That switched last year to the starting rotation, which we thought could be kind of weak because of, and again, like a lot of young guys coming up, you know what they're going to do. A lot of guys are coming off injury, so like how's it going to hold up? And it held up fairly well considering the parts that were there. But yeah, like if David Bednar can come in strong, looking healthy, that answers a lot for the back end of this bullpen. On top of David Bednar, mine was also mentioned here too, Jared Jones. I'm really interested in seeing Jared Jones because I think, I mean, we know what the season we put up with last year, and like you feel good about that. But I think there's still a lot of like unlocked with Jared Jones, and he could be even better. When we talk about like the third pitch development, if he could add a third pitch, that can really help him out, because if one's not working, we find that he tends to struggle, which would make sense. You got one pitch working with you today. The thing is that one pitch is still really, really good. So it's not like he just go out there usually like getting pelted all the time. He can work through it. He can still be a productive pitcher, but if you had a third pitch, it could really help him out. And as we mentioned, they brought in Brent Strong. And like, if there's not a guy that can help that, it's him. So like, I'm really curious how this relationship is going to work out, what he's going to look like. And there's also been talk that he's been talking to Paul and working on a splinker too. Now, I think someone on here said, one of our guests, but like, I'm sure everyone in baseball right now is working on a splinker, right? Paul Skenes exists because he can do things that no one else can. So I'm not here to say like, oh, well, the problem's solved. He's going to go out there and do what Paul Skenes does, because, well, people can't do that. So I don't know if the splinker is going to be an answer for him, but it's interesting. Like he's mentioned that. So maybe he comes in, maybe he does, maybe it works for him. I don't know. Jared Jones, pretty talented. But yeah, Jared Jones is someone I'm really interested in this spring as well. What does Jared Jones look like? What has he added to his repertoire? And can he improve off of that rookie season to be like that dude, right? Make that next step this year.
Yeah, if there's something I'm looking for Jared Jones, it's maybe more like, how's the changeup look? Something for left-handed hitters. We know that the fastball and the slider look great.
Right.
So like, can you add something in there to get lefties out consistently? And that's where the changeup comes into play. And it was fine last year. Like it wasn't great by any means. But that's the one area where if he can dial in that pitch, that's kind of where you can see him really take another huge step forward. So yeah, that's the thing I'm looking most looking for Jared Jones is a little bit more command on the changeup. How often is he throwing it? If he's throwing it, is it effective? Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, outside that, like we haven't really talked about Skenes, but yeah, I'm with you. Like, just go out there and be you. Like you don't have to do anything different than what we saw last year. If you can just go out there and just do the exact same thing like that, that's fine, buddy. Mitch Keller, you kind of just know what to expect from him at this point. You hope that he can, maybe take another, can take a step forward, but I think if he just gives you what he's been giving you, then that's fine. Falter, we all know how Falter looked. So Falter's going to be an interesting case because, like, I think he's safe as far as the rotation goes. But like, he looked so bad last spring.
He did
so bad. He was the worst pitcher in spring training. Was Bailey Falter. And then as soon as the regular season started, he gave up six runs in the first inning, and then he went on a tear right after that. So, Bailey Falter, I don't really know if I'm interested in seeing what he does because he kind of showed last year that what he does in spring training has no bearing on the rest of the year. And that is kind of something to take away from all of this too, is a lot of these pitchers, they're not always trying to get guys out.
No.
So it's like they're working on things. They're working on specific pitches. They're working on specific situations. Like that's just another thing to kind of keep in mind when you're watching these spring training games is, if someone gives up 3 straight home runs, it could be 1, they're in Florida and the wind's blowing 40 miles an hour out to the outfield, and 2, they're trying to work on one specific thing that isn't necessarily going to translate to the regular season, and it doesn't go as well as they hope. So there are things you can take from spring training, and there are things that you can't. Results, sometimes not exactly one of those things.
Right.
You always like to see good results as opposed to bad results, right? But they don't mean anything at all.
Right. No, results just do not matter. We got to keep reminding ourselves. You're probably hear that a lot this upcoming spring. Like, Jared Jones was kind of the anomaly, but the thing that stood out wasn't so much that Jared Jones wasn't allowing runs. The thing that stood out was the stuff, right? Last year, you got a little more of that. Like, it was stuff plus and whatnot. And, Jared Jones was jumping off the page. When he was a prospect, there were things to be excited about, right? But I think it was kind of, he was limited. I mean, we were questioning before, like, is Jared Jones a starter or a reliever? And last year in spring, it was just like everyone in baseball was like, wow, who is Jared Jones? So the results added to it. But if he gave up 5 or 6 earned runs, I don't think anyone was really changing their perspective last year on Jared Jones because of the stuff. And that's more like what you're looking into this year. Like, I was going to say it, but I stopped too. But that's a good point to talk about too. Like what David Bednar talked about. It's not even so much like if he's effective, but like, how's this stuff look? How's the command work? If he gives up runs, I'm also not too worried about that, because that's what you have to get into. Bailey Falls is a great case for that. I mean, a lot of pitchers. I mean, we were talking about even before with Quintana. Quintana looked bad in spring.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, he looked bad, but he's a veteran. He's out there. I gotta get my work in. Didn't matter. Right? Season started and was like, hey, this is me. And we're like, oh wow, okay, never mind. Do your thing, man. This signing wasn't too bad, right? So yeah, like, results don't truly matter in spring. So again, everyone's gonna have their moments. We'll have our bad takes once the season starts. And yeah, Bailey Falter was certainly one of them, because we're like, how is this guy? We hated the trade. He looked awful in spring. And then that first inning validated everything we're talking about. And how is this guy on this team? This is such an unserious team. And he was a big part of that rotation, because he gave some very, very meaningful innings last year. And he was very productive for again, like that 5th starter. So yeah, so there's Bailey Falter. Oviedo is certainly one I'm looking at as well. Him coming back from injury, he's going to be a big part too. And he's like this X factor. I think someone said in this chat. I mean, we saw the talent. We saw the talent that year, and it's like he kind of turned some eyes also because we were kind of leery on him with that trade. What can he be? Is he really a bullpen guy also? And it's like, you know what? There's some talent there. He certainly could be a good rotation piece. And then he got injured, so we didn't really get to see the part two of that. So this is like his part two now, and he doesn't even have to be the guy. It was Mitch Keller and Oviedo at one point, and at that point, looking forward to the rotation, what you thought it might be, it's like he's going to have to be like a mid rotation piece, which he could be. There was some excitement now, and now he doesn't even have to be. He's your number 5 starter potentially, number 4 talent there. So yeah, I'm curious how he looks coming back from injury, his pitch mix and whatnot. What else?
Yeah, with Oviedo, I mean, I think the one knock on him was the command. He did walk a lot of batters. So has the Tommy John made that worse? Is he going to get back to where he was? Can he maybe take a step forward with that? Because if he can really dial in the command a little bit better, the stuff's good. It's definitely good enough to be a starter. So like, yeah, can he even get better than what we saw him? But even Oviedo, like if Oviedo just gives you what he gave you in 2023, you're pretty happy with that. But like, can he even take a step forward? I don't know. I'm not really expecting it off of Tommy John surgery. Especially like I said, trying to figure out the command aspect of it, because that's just something that, I mean, it's all based off of feel and repetition. So, going a year without pitching, how does that get affected? But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward. Like I said, if there's one piece of this team to really look forward to, it's the pitching staff. There's a lot of guys in there who are very interesting. There's some good pitchers in there. Yeah, I think it's going to be fun watching these guys. Hopefully we can just stay healthy, get through spring healthy. That's probably the number one goal, really. Like figure out, like get ready for the season and get there healthy. That's the big thing with this pitching staff right now.
Right. I agree there. And that's the pitching side. And we love to talk pitching, but yeah, catchers are also reporting. And that's also a big part too. Like there's a lot that we need to see out of catching. Joey Bart's coming back. I think he's pretty much given the reins to this. Like you're going to be our starting catcher, which I'm perfectly fine with. But like he's still a question mark. Like there's still like it's not like Paul Skenes, like, hey, just show up, Joey Bart, do your thing. It was last year a fluke, because you had a lot of talent. You're a top pick, a top prospect, and you just were bad. With San Fran, and they DFA'd you. Picked him up. He had a really, really productive season. So, seeing Joey Bart come back, have another year working with the pitchers also, I mean, defensively, but also, yeah, like was last year a fluke? Can he be starting pitcher or catcher and how that is? But on top of him, it's like the depth too. Like there's Endy Rodriguez coming back from injury. That's a big thing for me as well. I think he should be healthy, like with the Tommy John, but that's part of it. Like, how does he look health-wise? Is he good to go? And what are we going to get from Endy this year? Because he was a top prospect also. There's a lot of big things that you're hoping to see with Endy. Hendy, right? Henry Davis and Endy Rodriguez, that duo. And of course, the other side of it, Henry Davis. What are you, buddy? We had a lot of hope last year because, again, results don't matter. Henry Davis looked pretty damn good in spring. We saw what happened. So those 3 guys, all 3 of them, really, you're trying to see something from them.
Well, then on top of that, like if this is one of the more interesting battles this spring, is like who's going to be the 2 catchers. You got, I mean, Bart is obviously going to be one of them, but then you've got you got 3 options for that second choice, and one's your former first overall pick in Henry Davis. One's a former top prospect coming off of an injury, switch hitter, a lot of things to like about him, Endy Rodriguez. And the other one's kind of like your safety net, where like Jason DeLay is there. He's a perfectly fine, capable backup catcher in Major League Baseball, and he's shown that he can handle that role. So they've got options here, and it's just a matter of yeah, I think the main thing to look at here is Bart's on the team. He's out of options. Like he's going to be on the team in some capacity. But then, yeah, like who's the other catcher? And that's going to be a battle. Like Endy certainly going to give you better defense than Davis. I think Davis probably offers you more offensive upside if he can hit the way that we think he can hit or hope he can hit.
Right.
But I mean, you also can't sleep on like Endy's shown that he can hit too. We just kind of went a year without seeing him now. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting thing to watch for me. Mostly because I want to see what Endy looks like. You know, we saw him for like a week at the end of last year, but that was it, you know, in the minors. What does he look like? Is he ready to take on a major league role? And if the answer to that question is no, if the answer to is Henry Davis ready to take a step forward, if that answer is no, they're set up good in this spot where, yeah, Jason DeLay can step right in if you need him to. If you don't need him to, he's got options too. So this is probably the most deep position that they have, really. They've got 4 guys who are all perfectly capable of playing the position at any given day. You hope there's 4. I don't know. The jury's still out on Henry Davis.
Yeah, like, I just want to add, like, it's deep in the sense of bodies and potential, but like unlike the pitching side, like I would say the starting pitchings is rather deep, and it's also deep with some proven talent, you know, and options. Like with the catching side, there's still a lot of questions.
It's all
hope
questions.
It's 4 deep, but it could end up being 1 deep at the end of the year, you know, because it's like, okay, these guys aren't who we've been hoping they're going to be. But there's certainly potential and options with upside. Like you mentioned with him, I mean, we know the upside with Henry Davis. There's still definitely upside with Endy Rodriguez. Like you could have 4 guys that you could be very, very comfortable with behind the plate next year, no matter who it is. You just got to be very hopeful. I think the safest is, ironically, I think like the safest is my boy Jason DeLay, but he's very limited. But like
I'd say Bart's probably like Bart's floor is still high enough that I think he's still probably your safest pick. But I agree. Like Jason DeLay is a safety net. Like if you need him, he's there, and
yeah,
you're fine with it.
You know what he is, and like he belongs on a major league roster. You know, as a like a backup catcher. Defense is certainly good, and again, the way the catchers are as your backup catcher, offense is fine. It's good enough. It doesn't have to be good. There's been plenty more that's been way worse, right? But yeah, Joey Bart shown last year that like he's capable defensively behind the plate, and also he's capable of the bat. You know, he had nice power last year also, so that holds up. I mean, that's definitely starting catcher worthy. And right, like if just one of Henry Davis or Endy can click in a good way, man, that makes you feel so comfortable with this catcher depth.
Yeah.
So
Zips kind of likes them both. Like, I mean, I guess that's something there. Zip says Henry Davis is a 101 weighted runs created plus. Says Endy is a 91. And I mean, that's the thing with catchers. Like, if you're getting over 90 out of your catchers, that's more than most teams are getting. You know, that's like an upper half. That's an above average catcher for the most part.
Yeah, league average for baseball last year was a 91 weighted runs created plus from the catcher side.
Yeah. So if Endy comes in here and gives you league average offensive production from the catcher position, you know, you take that. This was the one position where they actually excelled last year. Like they're actually pretty decent at the catcher position between Grandal and Bart. So yeah, I mean, I guess we didn't get I was half expecting a Yasmani Grandal signing during halftime of the Super Bowl yesterday, but
run it back part 2.
That's what we were talking about on this show last year. Was the Grandal signing during the Super Bowl. Yeah, I think they're in a good spot. I have more faith in Endy than I do in Davis at this point, and that he can at least become like a major league catcher. But the upside of Davis is still too high to completely give up on him at this point. But like he's running out of chances. Like I do need to say that. Like Henry Davis is running out of chances. Like he's got one or two more chances, and then it's like that's it. So we'll see how that goes.
Agree, but excited. Certainly excited to see. Like I said, 2 days, real baseball is gonna be back. Things that we're gonna really, really be able to talk about. Still quite limited, but like something happened, right? You're seeing those videos, you're hearing this story, right? And that's the part too. Like all the beat writers will be down there, the players will be down there, right? You're gonna start hearing some actual news, actual stories coming out. I can't wait. It's the time of optimism, Jim.
Yep. No, it's baseball season.
It is. We're back.
We'll be down there. We'll be doing a live Starbucks from Bradenton in 2 weeks.
We will. Someone asked here about March 8th, us being Braves Pirates game. We will not, but we will be there from February. We'll be there February 22nd, but February 23rd is the first spring training game. So we'll be there for, that day. Yeah, we'll be there from the 23rd to the 1st. That's when we leave. So that whole week, we will be down there. There's going to be 4 games that we'll be part of doing pregame shows. I'm excited, man.
Yeah, pregame shows live from Lecom Park. That'll be super fun. It was a lot of fun last year. If you're coming down for spring training, or if you're going to be at any of those games, show up to the ballpark a little early. Come say hi to us. We'll be podcasting live from the park. Yeah, we might have some stuff to give away too to anybody who
we will
sees us. Yeah.
Yep. So. We will. We got some things. I think we're going to be live at noon, right? That's when we went last year, I believe.
Was it noon or was it 11:30? I think it was 11:30.
Oh, was it 11:30? Okay, maybe it was 11:30. But yeah, we'll definitely be live before the games at Lecom. So if you're there, come stop around. You can see us. If you're not, of course, we'll be on YouTube. You can watch us, and we'll have our post game. We like a post game show, but we do like our post game wrap up that we put out there on YouTube afterwards. Of course, we'll have different interviews, guests. It'll be fun. We'll have a lot of content for sure. So I'm excited. That's coming up as well. And yeah, like you mentioned, like that's just 2 weeks away, basically. I can't believe that. We've been planning this out for like how long? As always, like things come up and it's like, damn, it's here now. So right. I'm ready, but I'm not ready also.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed. I mean, it was Saturday, and I was just like, "Oh crap, I'm flying to Florida in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I need to.
Yeah,
got to plan that out."
Right. So, anywho, anything else you want to say or add in here?
No, I don't think so. You already talked about Tommy Pham, so we're good there. I don't need to add anything to that. I think that wasn't said already.
We all, on behalf of everyone in the chat, I say I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I think Nolan here pointed out are we the oldest lineup in baseball, or like top 3 old? Like it's an old lineup now. So it's like you're in this rebuild. You stocked your farm system with all these guys, and your lineup is all old people.
To be fair, I don't know. I look because last year's it was I think top 5, but I mean you lost some old people for agency, so I don't know.
And then you got Tommy Pham back. Tommy Pham is old. I mean, Spencer Horwitz is the same age as Rowdy was, basically. Brian, everybody else got a year older. Like,
yeah,
IKF's older than Cruz was. I guess you got a little younger in center, but like this team's not young.
No,
there's no one in the projected starting lineup
that a lot of people are throwing out there.
There's no one in the projected starting lineup. There's actually no one in the projected opening day roster as far as position players goes that is younger than 25. Nick Gonzalez right now is your projected youngest position player, and he's like 25 and a half.
So, okay, so it wasn't top 5 last year. Pirates were.
I guess
They were 11th
if Endy makes the team, he'd be the youngest guy.
So they were 3rd youngest on the pitching side, but they were 11th oldest on the hitting side. So
yeah, the pitching staff's all pretty young still. No one, as far as the rotation goes, Keller's the oldest at 28.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, offensive, like this is an old lineup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's a misconception. It's not as if like it's this whole rebuild that's coming up and it's all the young kids. It's really not.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No, it's not. I mean, as far as the guys who were here, like the guys that you're relying on to like be your main guys have been here a while. Like Brian Reynolds, O'Neal Cruz, Brian Hayes. They've all been here for quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess again, we're just kind of talking about, but Grandal was 35, Pham's 37. Kutch was 37. He's now 38. Like I said, like everyone's on the team last year is now a year older. Taylor was 33. Frazier's 31. So like the difference of Pham and Grandal and Frazier and Taylor kind of cancel out. Connor Joe is 31 that you lost. And like you
Frazier's
mentioned,
33.
What's that?
Frazier's 33.
Oh shit, you're right. You're right. Okay, so they're older. So actually, yeah, so they are older for sure.
Yeah.
So if they were 11th oldest last year, they're probably creeping in close to top 5.
Even your young guys, like Jared Triolo is 27.
Right.
I mean,
well, that's what I'm alluding to. I mean, the people that are on the team are now a year older, and who you're replacing with. Yeah. Olivares is out, who was 28. I said Connor Joe is 31. He's out, but yeah, it's going to be older.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and like, I guess the one other thing too that we didn't even mention because this is more pitchers and catchers, but there is one. I mean, I feel like there's another spot up for grabs too, and that's that 4th outfield spot. Like, is it going to be Palacios? Is it going to be Swinsky? Is it going to be Cook? Is it going to be York? That's another.
Jim, there's a 3rd outfielder spot that's open as well.
I don't think there is. Tommy Pham is the 3rd outfielder.
Jim, there's a 3rd outfielder spot that's open as well.
But yeah, there's a few battles to be had.
Yeah. Okie dokie.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
Let's do it. Appreciate everyone. As always, all our YouTube members getting your emojis on. All our Patreon members, we appreciate you guys as well. And if you haven't, you want to join, go ahead and in the bottom, there's the links in the descriptions to join to do so. But with that said, yeah, we'll be back this Wednesday for NS9 Live, which again is the official day that Pirates Pitchers and Catchers report. So we'll see you guys then. Hopefully no emergency podcast. I feel like that.
Well, hopefully there is, but
I don't know.
I don't know if there will be.
I'm like buyers beware an emergency podcast right now.
Yeah. And then also, if you haven't heard yet, Permanis is back for the 2025 season. So we'll be doing Permani sandwiches following every Pirates win this season. We'll be giving them out. So make sure you subscribe to the page. You hit the little bell button that notifies you when we go live. That way you never miss the chance to win free sandwiches.
Yep. That's going to be done a little bit differently this year as well. So can't wait to give out the details this year about getting your free sandwiches. So yes.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. All right. With that said, we are out of here. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
See you guys. All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube, if you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support. and let's go Bucks.